الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا، إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا، وانفعنا بما علمتنا، وزدنا علما. وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرزقنا حسن النية وحسن الختام. I praise Allah. I thank Allah for the endowments He has given us, without Allah being obligated to give us anything. And I ask Allah to raise the rank of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and to protect his Muslim nation from whatever he feared for it. May Allah give us the sincere intentions and the good ending. Ameen. And it's not easy being consistent. I mean, it is not easy for the teacher nor for the student of knowledge. Um, but the one who is consistent in doing the good, inshallah, they will be victorious, and what will await them will be an immense amount of reward in the hereafter. What the Prophet ﷺ loved for the person to do is to be consistent in the good deeds. Yani the one who puts a lot of effort in engaging in something that they cannot bear, for example, and then after a while they give up or it was too much. This is not something preferable. Rather, what is preferable is to do what one can bear and to do it consistently, even if it is a small amount. And for example, the one who wants to acquire the knowledge of the religion, the knowledge of the religion is vast. It's not something that a person can learn all of it in one day, nor in a lifetime. So one has to take chunks of the knowledge little by little. The scholars, they used to say, من أخذ العلم جملة فاته جملة. The one who takes the knowledge all at once, he loses it all at once. It's too much. The person will not bear it. So taking little by little and being consistent is preferable. So may Allah reward those among you who did not get bored and have been consistent. The author, yani we're at the bottom, the last paragraph at the bottom of page 40. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, the guardian may either be present himself or delegate another. So it is not a condition for the guardian to, the one who has the right of guardianship, it is not a condition that he himself conduct the marriage contract, because he can authorize someone else on his behalf to do it, even if that person originally does not have the right of guardianship. And that is whether the guardian is present or absent. According to those who stipulate uprightness in the guardian, it is also required in the agent. The agent is the wakil. So, according to those scholars who said that the guardian must be upright, the guardian cannot appoint someone who is not upright. According to those who said it is not a condition for the guardian to be upright, and the father specifically, then the father is allowed to appoint someone who is also not upright. It is permissible for the guardian and the groom to appoint an agent, a wakil. So, like the guardian, the groom does not have to be present at his marriage. So, it is valid for a guardian. Let's say the woman he wants to marry is in another country or another state. He can appoint someone to accept the marriage of the woman on his behalf. So if the agent of the groom is present, he says to the daughter's guardian, so the guardian would say to the agent, I now give my daughter, for example, so and so, to you in marriage for the marriage payment that was agreed upon. Then the agent says to the guardian, I accept her marriage for my principal. Yani principal is the one who, the groom, the one who appointed him as the wakil. So he does not accept for himself. He accepts on behalf of the one who appointed him, which is called the principal. Okay. All right. So he is the agent, and the one who appointed him, the groom, is the principal. So he says, I accept her marriage for or on behalf of my principal, so and so. Or I accept her marriage for him. And he names the groom or the suitor. If the guardian says to the agent, I now give you my daughter so and so in marriage, and the agent says, I accept marrying your daughter. But he was supposed to accept, one, the guardian was supposed to give his daughter to the principal, the groom, the original person. And the agent, the wakil, was supposed to accept on his behalf But the guardian gave his daughter to the agent, and the agent accepted not on behalf of the groom, but for himself. So who got married here? The girl was given away in marriage, but who married her? The agent, the wakil, because he didn't accept for the groom, he accepted for himself. So they're married. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, when it comes to the marriage contract, you have to be careful and it has to be done right. Some people will make a mistake and they give the woman away to the wrong person. The two witnesses, so the agent says, I accept her marriage for him, and he names the suitor. The two witnesses hear and look at her and see her. Likewise, if they know that she is so and so, the daughter of so and so, this is sufficient for the two witnesses, even without her presence and looking at her, that is, without looking at her. As we said, the witnesses must know who the woman is, either by face or by name. If they see her face, they don't need to know her name. If they know her name, they don't need to see her face. But if they don't know her name and they don't see her face, this is not valid. Furthermore, the presence of the official marriage registrar is neither a condition nor an integral. Rather, he is an official tasked with documenting marriage contracts. So, in other words, it is not a condition for the marriage to be valid for there to be a civil marriage, a marriage which is officially documented according to the state. You don't need to go to City Hall to get a marriage certificate. You don't need to download one from the internet and have people fill it out. This is not a requirement. No. No. And is that what they did at the time of the Prophet? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? No. So it's not a requirement. It is also not required for the guardian to place his hand in the hand of the fiance during the contract. And the fiance should not place, or the bride and the groom should not hold hands or place one of their hands in the hands of the other during the marriage contract. Because until they are officially married, they should not be touching each other. Once they are married, then they can touch. But until they are married, hands off. Also, among the conditions of the marriage contract is the absence of a fixed term. For example, if the guardian says, I marry you to my daughter for 1 year, this is invalid. And this is the mut'ah, which is prohibited. However, if someone, and in the past, originally, and at the beginning of the revelation, it was permissible for a man to marry a woman for a specified period of time. And once that period of time expired, then the marriage contract would be automatically breached. This is the mut'ah. This mut'ah marriage contract was later abrogated. Its permissibility was canceled. So it is no longer a valid marriage. It is no longer a valid marriage contract. It is invalid. And anyone who does so and then has intercourse with the woman would be committing zina. However, if someone intends in his heart to marry a woman, live with her for a year, and then divorce her, and this is not stated explicitly in the marriage contract, then the marriage is valid. Imam Shafi'i, may Allah raise his rank, stated in his book Al that this is permissible, and Imam Malik, may Allah raise his rank, also allowed a man to marry a woman with the intention of divorcing her after a month. This is not considered mut'ah, temporary marriage. So the difference is, so what's the difference? If one intends in their heart to marry the woman just for a period of time, but they don't make it a condition, they don't make it a part of the marriage contract, then the marriage contract is valid. But if they stated in the marriage contract that this marriage is for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, then that's not valid. Like, what does this sound like? Like what?
So long as you know, put it in writing.
As long as they don't say it in the contract.
It's cool.
I didn't say it's cool. I said it's valid. It's valid. It's valid. So again, think, what does this sound like? Like something that happens regularly in this country. A foreigner comes to America, is on a green card or a student visa, and wants citizenship. So what do? They marry an American woman just so they can, after 3 or 4 years, they get their papers and then they're out. They intend to do it from the very beginning. Sometimes the woman is aware and sometimes she's not. But that's their intention from the beginning. As long as they do not make that time frame a part of the contract, then the marriage is valid. Yeah. You want me to repeat? Okay. So if a man marries a woman and they specify that the marriage is for one night, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, this marriage is not valid. It's not valid. If the intention is only for it to be 1 night, 1 month, 1 year, but they don't specify that in the contract, then the marriage is valid. So what makes it invalid? Making the expiration as a part of the contract.
Long as I put it in writing.
No, I didn't say writing. Remember, marriage contract is verbal. As long as they don't state it. as long as they don't state it. If they wrote it down, but they didn't state it in the marriage contract, then the marriage is valid.
Would you write it down?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because doing a marriage contract in writing is not valid.
No?
No, we talked about this already.
Yeah, you put a little stuff.
However, if someone marries merely for pleasure, not to stay with her for companionship, and companionship is one of the goals of marriage. That's also something we talked about. But, so the man marries the woman not to stay with her for companionship, but to taste her and then divorce her and then marries another and continues this pattern. Or if a woman marries someone to fulfill her need with him, then be divorced by him, then marries someone else, and so on, this is something unacceptable by Allah, though not forbidden. So now you taught me about this term, that even some women do this nowadays. They call it dropping bodies or something like that, catching a body, or body count. Yeah. So do they put like teardrops on their face too when they do it? Ajib. It's crazy. Subhanallah. So in other words, to marry and divorce, to marry and divorce, to marry and divorce over and over and over again, just for sexual pleasure, this is something which is not good. It's not good.
No.
Even though it's not haram, because the person was getting married. They weren't committing zina. Even though they don't commit a sin. It's still not something good. So,
Intent, just to do that.
yes,
Change.
that's their intention. So we're not talking about a person who got married and you know how they say he sure knows how to pick them. He marries a woman uh who's crazy. Okay, so he divorces her, then he marries another woman, and she turns out to be crazy too. Yeah, at least from his perspective. So he divorces her. He's trying to find a good one, but every time he marries a woman, it turns out bad. This is true. So we're talking about a man and a woman doing it. We're not just generally, one might think that this is something predominantly men do, but this is not necessarily the case. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made that clear in the hadith narrated by At-Tabarani, in which he condemned this behavior. He said, "Inna Allah la yuhibbu al-dhawaqin wal-dhawaqat." Inna Allah la yuhibbu al-dhawaqin wal-dhawaqat. Which means, indeed, Allah does not accept those who are connoisseurs among men and women. Remember, we said that he marries and divorces over and over again to taste, to taste, ذوق, taste. So the man who likes to taste women, is a connoisseur of women, is called the waq. And the woman who likes to taste men is called similarly. Both are dispraised by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were people at the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam who were like that, and they were dispraised. Remember the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said about some men who they would make excuses not to go out for jihad, but to stay back with the women and the children. And he said about those men that they had the libido of goats. Yeah, they were horny goats. Okay? This is what the Prophet said about them. And this is dispraise. This is dispraise. However, a person who marries frequently for religious purposes and not out of mere desire receives a reward. I mean, there is reward in that. Now, there was someone among the companions who used to do that. He used to marry and divorce over and over again to the extent that his father made an announcement and told the people, and this is after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told the people, "Do not give any of your daughters to my son so and so." He marries and divorces, marries and divorces. But because of who the son was, the people said, "No. If he wants one of our daughters, we will give him." Does anyone know who it was? You would understand why the people would say, even if he will end up divorcing her, if he wants, we'll give him. Who was it? Does anyone know? Al-Hasan ibn Ali. Al-Hasan ibn Ali, radiyallahu anhuma. Yani he had a good, although his father Ali did not like it, but in his case, he was doing it for a good reason that he had. Yes. No, well, they were not twins, but the older, Al Hassan. Yeah, the son of Ali. hmm The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged marrying a person of good religion by saying, if someone whose religion and character you are pleased with comes to you, then marry them. If you do not do so, then there will be tribulation on earth and great corruption. And we explained this previously, narrated by Al-Bayhaqi and At-Tirmidhi. Notice, this is an important note. It is important to warn against the statements of some people who criticize a man for marrying a young girl while he is old, saying this is backwards, or criticize an older man marrying by saying, and regardless of the age of the woman, if he's old, some people will criticize him by saying ignorance and old age. Both of these statements are misguidance and belying of the religion. May may Allah protect us. Yani, why are we saying this? Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam married Aisha when she was young. Now, we're not talking about the one who doesn't believe that Aisha was young when the Prophet married her. Some people, they say it's not true. They say it's not true. Okay? We're not saying that person is belying the religion because it's not confirmed for them. The one who belies the religion is the one who knows that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam married Aisha while she was young, and they then criticize what they know the Prophet did. They criticize something, they know that the Prophet did it. This goes against the religion. Yani, when we say something is belying the religion, this is the person saying, I am right and the religion is wrong. And no Muslim would say that. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam wa ahkam. So I want to stop here because this is the end of this chapter. Um, so if you have any questions to ask before we stop for the prayer. Yes.
You was paying for us to term unacceptable by
Um, yeah, it's not something that Allah accepts. It's not something rewardable. And so here in the hadith, what's mentioned is the mahabba. Inna Allah la yuhibbu. If you translate literally, it says surely Allah loves. So the mahabba is the rida. It's the acceptance of Allah. It is Allah granting favor and mercy and reward and status for the one who does such and such. Yes.
and you mentioned about if they had, or if one had the idea, the intention that you would not be married for like a month or a long time, yeah. If the two of them, the man and the woman, if they discussed it among themselves, if they had this intention among themselves, but it was not mentioned within the marriage contract, is this problematic?
It's still valid. But again, saying that something is valid does not mean obligatory, and it doesn't mean sunnah, recommended. There's three other categories. Okay, so I think we mentioned this issue. It's important that one understands the five categorizations of the actions of the slave, um, and not to misunderstand what is meant. So if you say something is not haram, that doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's good. This marrying and divorcing, marrying and divorcing, marrying and divorcing, over and over again like that without a valid religious excuse, It is not good. It has a negative effect on society. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. Yeah, someone may not be a man may divorce a woman because they are not compatible. That is not necessarily, that does not necessarily mean divorcing her is not disliked. Not necessarily. It depends. So, and we'll get more into that once we talk about divorce. Most divorces is either haram or disliked. And what did I say just a few minutes ago? It's important to understand that the judgments of the slave fall, the actions of a slave fall into one of five categories. Obligatory. In some cases, it is obligatory for the man to divorce his wife. Recommended. In some cases, it is recommended. Uh, mubah, permissible. It's not this, not that. That's a third category. Disliked, makruh, okay, and haram. Those are the five. Okay. Most in most cases, divorcing the wife is going to fall into which category? The last two. In most cases, the man is either committing a sin or he's doing something which is makruh, dislike. It's one of these two. In most cases, in most cases, didn't the Prophet ﷺ say that the ugliest permissible matter is divorce? So why he say that? Because most of the divorces are one of those two. Most divorces. I didn't say every divorce. I said most. Most. Either the man is committing a sin or he's doing something which is disliked. No, this is uh, the so you have two things. You have the reason the woman is divorced and what led to that. The reason she is divorced in most cases is because her husband divorced her, because she cannot divorce herself. If she's divorced, in most cases, it was his choice. Because he's not forced to, you cannot force a man to divorce his wife in most cases. Okay?
She can.
She cannot.
But they do.
No, she cannot.
You know what I mean? Not like.
It's not valid. If a woman says, if you don't divorce me, I'm going to take you to court and I'm going to say this and this and this, and I'm going to have the court take all your money, and this and this and this is going to happen. I'm telling you, beat me, and you do this and you do that. So, out of coercion, he utters the divorce because she threatened him. She's not divorced. She's not divorced. You cannot force, you cannot compel. La ikraha fi din.
I suppose that's true.
Suppose what is true? That's a different issue. It might be true. It might be true. But she cannot threaten him, if you don't divorce me, I'm going to do this and this and this and this.
I'm saying he's already doing it, like he's beating.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's a different issue. That's a different issue. That's a different issue. Imam Malik, radiallahu anhu, remember he was beat by the ruler of Medina. Why? He was beat over this issue because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said you cannot force a man to divorce his woman. So Imam Malik was narrating the hadith because the ruler in Medina was doing it at that time. So he sent people to Imam Malik and said, if you don't stop narrating this hadith, we're going to beat you. So Imam Malik continued to narrate the hadith. So what did they do? They beat him and they punished him. And at that time, when a person was punished by the ruler, they would humiliate the person. They have him stand in the center of the town and confess what he did. Why is he being punished? So they put Imam Malik up in the center of the town, in the center of Al-Medina, and he said, I am so and so, the son of so and so, and I am being punished because I narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said such and such. So he kept narrating it. So you cannot force in most issues, okay? You cannot force a man to divorce his wife. If he pronounces a divorce because he's fearful, coerced in saying it because of threats, for example, taking his money, throwing him in jail, the woman will not be divorced. Is what the Prophet said. Alayhi salatu wassalam. So again, sometimes divorce is good. Sometimes it is good. Sometimes it is good for the man and the woman. But in most cases, it's not. In most cases, it's not. Yani, remember the longest chapter in this book is about divorce. So there's a lot to cover. Well, let me answer a couple of questions here. So someone said, what was the reason for Al-Hassan to marry and divorce so many times? I don't know. But I don't know what his reason was, but it is my assumption that it was good because there are certain things that the awliya they don't engage in. And it's far-fetched that someone like him, although and he's not infallible, he might commit a sin, even an enormous sin. But there are certain things that the awliya they don't do. Number two, so is the khula not the woman divorcing her husband? Oh, okay. This is a good question. We didn't. So the question is, so is khula not the woman divorcing her husband? The details will come later. But for now, the khula is not the woman divorcing her husband. The woman cannot divorce her husband. It is the woman ransoming herself from her husband. She is paying him for him to divorce her. This is what the khula is. So she's not the one who's doing the divorcing. It is the husband.
It's still not counted.
So we'll talk about it more later, but there's difference of opinion. For some scholars, the khula is is counted as a divorce, and other scholars it's not. There's difference of opinion about it. Um, and even within the Shafi'i school. So someone said if it was the woman who had the intent to marry for a certain amount of time, let's say 3 months, to then know she is going to ask for divorce. Uh, so regardless of who had the intention, as long as it is not stated in the contract, the marriage is valid. If the woman had the intention to ask for a divorce after 3 months, then this is problematic because a woman cannot ask for a divorce or a khula without a valid religious excuse. She must have a excuse to ask for one. So if she doesn't, she says, I'm really not feeling this guy anymore. She got bored of him. That's not a valid religious excuse. So if she requests a divorce because she's bored of her husband, then she's sinful. Okay, wa alaikum assalam. Okay, there is a PDF of the book. Um, let me, if someone can put the link, or I guess I'll do it. Is there any other questions? Okay. Yes. Yes. We'll go over the excuses later. Yes. At a minimum, it would be dislike, but depending upon when he does it, then he could fall into a sin. Yeah. And for example, he had intercourse with her. He had intercourse with her. Okay. And before her next menstrual cycle ended and a new cycle of purity started, he divorced her. He's sinful. The divorce is valid, but he's sinful.
You explain right for this.
I'm sorry? Yeah, that's a slave woman. Okay, so one of the things, if you've read ahead in the book, in most cases, I don't go into the details of slaves because where are you going to find one nowadays? And there are there are a lot more details, and that would add a lot of weight to the book. So I generally left those issues out. Okay, someone said, says I'm glad I mentioned this. I thought everyone have to have a valid excuse. Yes, she needs a valid excuse to ask for khula. But until she can ask for any, uh, no, she cannot ask for any. A woman can ask for any reason when her husband accepts. So if her husband tells her, if it ever comes to a point that you want me to divorce you or you want a khula, then I will, you can tell me. I won't be heartbroken by it, for example. In that case, he accepts, then she can do it. And even if she had a valid reason, even if she had a valid reason, it doesn't mean she can request it in a way that still, in a way that violates other rights of the husband. Okay? So we said, for example, a valid reason was the husband abandoned the prayer. Okay. So she cannot then go to her husband who doesn't pray anymore. She can go to him and say, you're not praying anymore. Divorce me. Start praying or divorce me. She can do that. But if she goes to him and says, look, nigga, this and this and this and this, so I'm gonna give you one chance. Divorce me or this and this and this is gonna happen. Haram, she can't do that. She can insist on him divorcing her in that particular circumstance, but it doesn't mean she has the right to violate the other rights of her husband. Because until he divorces her, he's still her husband. And one of the rights of the husband is that his wife does not speak harshly to him. So, yes.
So we can divorce even if we don't hold his, what he said on the contract?
The woman can not divorce. Now, again, um, does that mean she has no recourse? It does not mean that. She has recourse. So, in other words, he is not fulfilling his obligations. Then what can she do? There is a process that we'll talk about later. There are things that she can do, but she cannot say, "I divorce you," because she will not be divorced. Yeah, yes. You had a question? Okay. Uh, Someone said, "What if the husband asks the wife to do a khula?" He can, but she doesn't have to agree to that. Yes. Hold on one second. Yes, there is someone who puts the recordings on YouTube. I don't know if they're in the session now, and I don't have the link to share. Yes.
Is it permissible, is it valid that a wife asks for a foot and the husband grants it without anything being given to the husband?
The khula, I need to review, but the by definition, the khula involves a subject, something that the woman would pay to the husband or to the husband's side. So, meaning she could say, I'll give your mother such and such if you divorce me. Um, I need to review because what it wouldn't be a khula. If she says, I want a khula, but I'm not going to give you anything, it means it's not a, she's asking for a divorce. The khula is, yani, it's not a, she's ransoming herself. This is how the scholars put it. She's buying her freedom. It's a buyout. So you don't do a buyout for nothing. It's the other side just releasing the person. So it's not a khula, it's a divorce.
She offers, she offers, get a diary back or whatever. He offers it, right,
Yes,
for a ransom,
yes.
and he says, because of her condition or whatever, nah, that's okay. I don't want it. You still have to, I don't want it.
So
The gold ring back or whatever the dowry was. She said, I'm gonna ransom for that. And he says, no, that's okay.
so he divorced her. So it's a
cool.
divorce. But he didn't get anything. How is it khula?
Because she gave it to him, but he didn't want
But
it.
it still,
In other words, you know what I mean? Like
still.
she offered it to him.
So
This is what I'm putting up for my ransom.
yes. So
And he says, based on your condition,
if
I don't need it. I'm gonna still give it to you.
if I come right, if I come to you and I say I want to buy your car for $1,000, and you tell me no, that's okay. Here, have it for free. Did I buy the car or was it given to me?
Your car?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the woman.
No, but you gotta answer my question.
Hmm?
I offered you money in exchange for your car. You said keep your money, take the car for free. Did I buy the car or was it a gift?
But I'm
Yeah.
saying,
So it's two different things.
that's what I'm saying. That's two different things. But you don't go out with a human being.
It's two different. That doesn't, but it doesn't make something which is not a khula because
So you have to accept.
the khula is a contract. Contracts have conditions.
So that's what I'm saying. So you have to accept.
Yeah, of course, because
But you
the
can't.
the matter is in the hand of the man.
But can you give it back?
Once it's his, yes, of course, it's his. He can give it back to her,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
but it still doesn't mean it's a khula. It's a divorce.
Before you give it back.
No, if he gives it back, that's after the khula. So it was a khula, but he just gave it back.
Yeah, the same president.
That's different.
Okay, I got you.
The original question was there was no ransom involved. So how would it be a khula if there was no ransom? If there's no ransom, that means it's not a khula, it is a divorce.
Right. Okay.
Uh, sorry, let me answer these few questions and then we'll stop. Someone said, what if the husband asks of her to do khula? Or if the husband initiated it, she is not sinful because he is accepting for her to state the request. Someone said, so divorcing over dislike of someone's social media posts or usage, would that be considered a permissible reason for divorce? Okay, again, so here's the question. So divorcing over dislike of someone's social media post or usage, would that be considered a permissible reason for divorce? If when you say permissible, do you mean he's allowed to do it, or do you mean there is no karaha in it? Those are two different things.
What is the term for
Karaha is ugliness, dislikeness, something that the religion deems ugly. That's karaha. So it is something that the religion orders us not to do. You're not ordered to do makruh. You're ordered to do obligations and recommendations. But makruh and haram, you're ordered not to do. Uh, Someone said, what would happen if the wife does things that the husband gets angry with? And she knows that, hoping that he would utter a divorce due to anger. Subhanallah. So the wife is harming the husband? This is what it sounds like. So if she's to harm a Muslim is haram, even if it's not your husband. It's haram to break the heart of a Muslim.
What?
Yeah, it's haram to break the heart of a Muslim. Okay, someone said, this is the last question. If the they say if the verbal contract that was agreed upon by both parties are not met by the man, does the woman have grounds for divorce? Okay, so the verbal marriage contract is for the guardian to say, for example, I give my daughter so and so in marriage to you. And the husband says, I accept marrying your daughter. Okay, that's the contract. The woman then has obligations upon her as a part of that contract. And the man has obligations upon him as a part of that contract. Are there some things that the woman could do that then it would be recommended for the husband to divorce her? Yes. But it doesn't mean he has to. There are some cases in which he's obligated to divorce. We'll talk about that later. Are there some things that the man can do in which the woman would be allowed to request a divorce from him or go to the Muslim judge to plead her case? And then the Muslim judge would then perhaps order him to divorce her or to stop doing what he is doing or to fulfill certain things. Yes. But all of that we'll talk about later, especially when we get to the obligatory support. Because that comes up a lot when the husband abandons the woman and she is left in limbo. طيب والله سبحانه وتعالى أعلم وأحكم.